My name is Eric Stepanovic. I'm a senior EAM analyst with Invenergy. I've been there for about 2 years. I work directly in EAM on a daily basis, focusing kind of on the procurement side and the parts management side. My coworker Ed Banos is going to join me in a little bit. He's our senior EAM administrator. He's been with us for about 4 months, but he comes with a wealth of knowledge, of a lot of experience, so he's been a welcome addition to the team as well. I'm kind of going to go into like Invenergy, who we are, how we use EAM, and then Ed's going to kind of touch on where we're going as we integrate with some other stuff as well. So Invenergy is a sustainable energy company. We focus on wind, solar, thermal, and battery storage. Primarily wind was the main portion of the portfolio, but those other three are really making a push as well. We were founded in 2001 by Michael Polsky. He's a Ukrainian immigrant who came with basically nothing, and he's kind of an industry veteran. He's been involved in countless other energy startups that he started up and sold, and then when he founded Invenergy in 2001, it was kind of his pet project, so he's been with us ever since, and he's currently still our CEO, so he's very passionate about the company and kind of the growth that we've seen. We have 4 main business units that we kind of focus on. Development, which is just construction and architecture of the sites. Ownership, operations, kind of in the same bubble, and then services as well, which I'll touch on the services thing, as that's kind of been a big stress point on EAM, that we've kind of integrated some stuff and created some stuff to help us differentiate parts and other aspects of EAM. So just a quick executive summary. We're headquartered out of Chicago. We have offices in 9 countries and other offices around the US as well. Ed works out of our Denver office. We just opened up a New York office as well. Just over 1,900 employees. And when I started just 2 years ago, there was about 1,200 employees. So we went from 1,200 to 1,900 in like 2 years. So the exponential growth we're seeing is really kind of amazing. And it's been really cool to watch. And we're the largest privately held renewable energy developer and operator in the world. So we're not a public company. It is privately owned. And we're kind of proud of that as well. So you can see we've developed 190 projects, powering about 9 million homes. Some of those projects we still own and operate, and some we have sold off to other companies. And yeah, $49 billion in transactions completed, and that's just going to keep going up as we grow even more. Kind of touching on what I spoke on earlier, wind is the biggest portion of our portfolio, 110 projects, I believe. And then solar has kind of been a more recent addition. Natural gas was our second biggest portion of the portfolio, but solar's been making a big push, and largely because of the simplicity of a solar plant. It's just really, really simple, really kind of cheap to own and operate and cheap to construct versus natural gas, which is an extremely expensive technology to own and operate. So we've seen that push from solar gaining traction all kind of throughout the country. We have solar fields around here actually in Georgia, in Nevada, Illinois, Wisconsin, Indiana, so that's becoming a big growing portion. And then storage as well, where we're able to have battery storage sites combined with our wind and solar sites, so we're able to store energy to use for down times or low production times as well. So just a quick little touch on our history and growth. You can kind of see that exponential growth that we're looking at. 2001, like I said, we were founded. 2003 was our first natural gas plant. 2004, the first wind farm. Battery and solar came in 2012, and we've just kind of seen that push. And that key portion to look at is that Invenergy services spot in 2019. That's when we expanded our operations to operate sites owned by other companies as well. So prior to that, anything we operated, we owned. But in 2019, we branched out to start operating other companies' sites. That was kind of the stress point that I was referring to regarding some EAM stuff with reporting to customers, differentiating ownership of stuff to customers. So we kind of made some transitions at that point, and that's also where the product that Ed will be talking about really comes into play as well. So what we do, like I kind of touched on in the first slide, project development is honestly probably the biggest portion of Invenergy, and that's kind of where EAM doesn't live. We don't really touch development side. They're more planning, construction, interconnection with the grid. Where we focus in EAM is really the operational side. So once the sites are up and running, EAM kind of dives in and we build out our structures, build out our inventories, build out our work management system, and we don't really live in those other business units. So that's where Invenergy, being kind of a large company that it is now, we're not a part of everything. We're just kind of segmented on that operational side, but everybody does kind of see what we do as well, because when they're developing, they want to see where the operation can go, so they can look at other sites that we're operating and see what kind of work costs we're doing, what kind of inventory planning we have to do, and that's kind of where it all ties together. So on that services portion that I was talking about regarding third-party operations, we have kind of two different divisions. There's the contract services and the transactional services. Contract services is we'll sign a contract with a company to operate their site for 10 years. And then they basically just wipe their hands clean of it. We take over everything and do the entire operational side. Transactional services is more of like a one-time fix. So a company, we've kind of built up a reputation to be some of the best workers and the best field techs in the business. So companies can bring us in just to do a gearbox replacement or a blade repair. And that will be a one-time thing. But both sides of this utilize EAM pretty heavily. On the contract services side, obviously, it's just like any other site, so we use it for everything. On the transactional services, we use that to build out an inventory that our transactional teams can use to help repair things, and then we also put out work orders through that as well. And then our EAM adoption was way back in 2008, and actually Larry was a part of it right after that, really kind of came to fruition. So it began in 2008 and it was completed in 2009, and Larry actually alerted me that we originally bought the business edition of EAM, which was like the more cost-effective version, and pretty quickly realized that we needed to go to the full-blown enterprise edition because it just wasn't able to support what we needed. And obviously our growth kind of shows that as well. And we use it obviously for work management, inventory management, as well as the asset management portion. Currently in EAM, we have about 800 active users. Over 300 of those users are actively using mobility. And that's kind of one of our stress points for 2023 is to try to get that number up as high as we can. Thermal sites have not really actively used mobility. They don't need it as much just because it's kind of on one location, whereas our wind techs are going up into the towers and they really need that work order right in front of them. So we're kind of making that a stress point to push mobility out as a primary function of all the site's daily activities. And I think it's going to be great if we're able to get that digital work disconnected mode as well, which would really allow us to switch over fully to digital work as we are using transit right now because there's no service in the towers, obviously. So if we can get that digital work disconnected mode, we're going to push that and kind of use that as leverage to get all the sites to kind of adopt this mobility aspect by kind of being able to say, hey, it's a new app, mirrors the desktop version, kind of no reason to not use it. Organizationally, we have about 130 active, and that's counting. When I started 2 years ago, there was just over 80. So again, the exponential growth is kind of crazy. And the scalability of EAM has helped us in that growth, just as a really good platform with the organizational setup, the user group setup. Flex business rules has allowed us to customize our approach as we grow too. So 20 organizations when we implemented EAM, and like I said, over 130 now with very, very few pain points. It's really been a really scalable model, and as we grow, that user adoption is increasing and the process improvement is increasing. I think there's been some pain points with site teams not really being able to adopt it or not really be able to appreciate EAM, but as we get more and more communication with those site teams on what they need out of it and what we need out of them, we're able to kind of customize and tailor the approach to what they need because it really is about them, it's not about us. So as we grow and we get that feedback, we're just going to keep improving and keep getting it down to where it's kind of a joy to use instead of people ever saying like, oh, you know, it's a frustrating software or whatever, but that's just because they don't know or they haven't been trained properly, which comes back to us too, which we're going to try to improve that training aspect as well as we grow. Currently in our administration, we call ourselves the Dream Team, and we're responsible for general administration, improvements, training, and troubleshooting. We've incorporated a couple of ticketing systems within EAM directly. The main one being our help desk, which is a duplicate of the work order screen. And we use that as the end users can then submit tickets to us for various, whatever issues they're having or inquiries they're having if they want reporting. And there's various categories built into that help desk ticket as well. And our flex codes push the tickets to certain users, being me, Ed, or Brecklin, depending on what the category is, so we can segment those tickets to the proper people. And there's no discrepancy on who gets what or who should take this ticket or not. So again, that flex code allowed us to do that and implement that help desk really well. And the second thing is the procurement request system we've built out. And this allows users to submit requests for modifications within our parts and supplier database, allowing it to funnel through one person. That's actually me, but the reason for this is so we can kind of follow our general parts templates of how we want descriptions made, supplier information, and everything kind of goes through a central point that we can push things through engineering to make sure they approve a part addition and keep it really consistent across the site fleet, because we don't want one site tailoring their information just to them. It's available to everybody, so we got to make sure that it applies to everybody as well. Another thing that we added a couple years back that really was helping in our growth, and this ties directly to that third-party operations, is the condition tracking of our parts. And this really did come from that, as it was a way to identify not only the physical condition of the parts we were purchasing, but financial condition as well. In those third-party contracts, it differs from site to site, but some parts are owned by them, and some parts are owned by us. Our financial teams obviously want to see the stuff that's owned by us, so we needed an easy way to show, okay, we paid for this or they paid for this. And this feature implementation began in 2020 and finished pretty late last year in 2022. There's a lot of parts to move over from our old naming system to this new naming system. But again, this is just a testament to that scalability and how we're able to grow. And that condition takes the form of that last letter and that part number in the bottom there, and that N would indicate a new Invenergy owned part, whereas a T condition would indicate that a third-party company owns that part, just allowing for really easy, easy indicator of who owns what, so that our financial teams can take a really quick look and see exactly where our financials line up. And then one other thing we've really tried to embrace as much as possible is our integrations and our connections. Our main one is our Oracle ERP connection. So we integrate that through Dell Boomi, and this is used as our company-wide invoicing and payment system. So even the sites that don't, or the business units that don't use EAM utilize Oracle ERP. So we connected this via an EAM grid. So whenever a requisition is placed in an awaiting approval status, the grid picks that up, and then Dell Boomi looks for anything new in that grid, and every 5 minutes we'll send it over to Oracle. It becomes a requisition in Oracle, gets approved, and then comes back to EAM as a purchase order, so we can do our receipt. The other integration we have is OSI Pi, and that's our data historian program. And it's pretty much set up the exact same way, but it's just a way to funnel our work order data and our parts usage data out of EAM into our data historian program. But our biggest integration is coming up in the future. We're working on it right now, which we're calling the Invenergy Hub with Baysfield, and that's where I'll pass it over to my colleague, Ed.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. You guys look a lot different than you did last night, I'll tell you right now. Some of y'all are hurting, yourself included, right? Or myself included. So before we go into all this, really, the whole reason that we suck out a company like Baysfield to help us with what we're about to talk about is that with our explosive growth within our organization, we had multiple levels of work that was being done. Some of it was being siloed. You'd have somebody in the control room that would use multiple software applications to get the work in, and then to get the work over to the technicians, that's another application. Then after all that work's performed, then our customer wants to know, well, what was done in my facility that I'm paying you to work on, right? So what we did is we teamed up. So I'll just go ahead and read this out. Invenergy Services, the operations and asset management and energy management affiliate of Invenergy and Baysfield, have partnered on a digital platform that will increase efficiency and improve the customer experience for wind, solar, and storage asset owners. A global portfolio that is expected to top 25 gigawatts by 2025. So the digital platform that we will be highlighting today during today's presentation is named Invenergy Hub. All right, now let me talk a little bit about Baysfield. So Baysfield, the company, the product is the company. They're a global software company with renewables that started in 1991 as an industrial IT company. So their existing market-leading technology, agnostic SCADA overlay, web portal offerings developed in 2010. They have a proven performance and scalability across multiple energy domains: solar, hydro, battery storage, biomass, and oil and gas. So they have a long-term track record and large R&D activities in both the United States and Norway. Clear and expansive company strategy with customer growth across 5 companies. So the Baysfield system itself, here's some of the highlights of it. It's scalable, high-performing, robust, flexible system architecture. And simply what that means is they have the flexibility to tie into so many different kinds of software, whether it's weather software, whether it's SCADA systems, and just about anything that has an API connector, you could connect to Baysfield, and then in turn, Baysfield is going to connect to our CMMS. We're EAM, however, they could do Maximo, SAP, whatever CMMS you use. To include wind and solar power information, models and coordinated GADs, that number includes a comprehensive REST API for third-party applications integration. They have a very high level of security. And where that comes into play, and we're going to talk about this, is that we have a customer-facing portal. And currently, one of our challenges as the EAM administrative team is to provide support for our customers in a reporting fashion. And what that means is customer A might want us to SFTP a series of reports every week, which takes time and effort. We upload them. Some customers are cool with emails. Some customers want us to develop a secure portal where they could go log in and get their own data and download the data that they want. We're going to show you today how Basefield has helped us put all this together in one spot. So when we started this effort with Basefield, we created what's called the Invenergy Hub. So what were some of our goals? And these are very high-level goals, but very important to us. Make everyday operating tasks simple and ensure operators, technicians, and our customers are all on the same page. They're looking at the same work, the same data. It's all real time. Okay? Increase overall efficiency of our operation by integrating people in common workflows. We wanted our data in one place, making it simple to retrieve all information required for operations, analytics, and to generate standardized reports across the fleet. We wanted to use the same platform and software to perform monitoring, reporting, and the dispatch of field service personnel. We wanted to deliver real-time data to our valued customers, both internal and external. Now, this is the typical architecture. There's a lot going on here, but at the end of the day, what we have is we have SCADA systems, we have different weather systems, we have the cloud-based Basefield server engines that are going to put all this data together. And then, of course, we have our standard users within the organization. The buildup from data to information. So real simple, starting at the bottom, what we have are alarms and outages that are being tracked by either the PI system or our weather ops system. All those get fed into the Invenergy Hub. These are real-time events and data management. And what happens after it hits the hub, Invenergy Hub, we then do things with that data. If it's, let's say we have a lightning strike that came in from the weather system, and how it works on a wind farm, these big giant turbines you see on the side of the road, is if there's a lightning strike or multiple lightning strikes within the vicinity of those wind farms, we get alarms saying, hey, there was a lightning strike in this vicinity. Go out here and check out these turbines and make sure that none of the blades got struck and that they weren't damaged. Currently, what we have is we do get the weather alarms, and we create work orders, which all of you know, if you're creating a bunch of work orders, let's say 100 on average for these lightning strikes, you got to get the template. You fill out the template. You upload or import it using the import or upload utilities within EAM. Then those work orders are generated. Then those have to be assigned to somebody. They get the assignments and assign it to individual crews or individuals, and they go out there, do the work. They come back, they plug in the work, and then at some point, our customers get that data saying, hey, this is what happened. What happens with Basefield is we get the alarms, they hit the system, then they get a screen saying, hey, these are all the different alarms. Do you want to create work orders on these? They click yes or highlight the ones that they want to inspect. Automatically, Basefield creates work orders in EAM. Those already templated to where, using standard work orders, where those work orders are automatically dispatched to the right O&M manager, which then can dispatch them from there. They go out there, they do the work, they look at the inspections, and they complete them. And real time, our customers could see that there was a weather storm at that particular facility, and they could log on through the customer portal and see all the work that was performed, see what was actually damaged, if anything. And on top of that, Basefield, they built this Invenergy hub for us. Not only can they see the lightning strikes that happen that possibly cause this work, but it's also a historian. It's running real-time data every few seconds. So even if we haven't put eyes on the ground saying, hey, this is damaged because I see the burn marks on that blade, they could see that the runtime has been affected on that particular asset. So they already know, hey, that one got blown up, or it's not running efficiently, or something's wrong. So that's going to be automatically help the maintenance manager really prioritize looking at those assets first. Another example here of how the data flows through the organization, the raw data out of the SCADA system, it goes into fleet alarms and outages within the Invenergy hub. And then from there, automatic work order creation and the dispatching of technicians, field services. This is another depiction of how things work within the Invenergy hub. Alarms allocations, we create cases that go through the Basefield two-way interface and then into EAM. There's a couple of 3 fundamental synchronization interfaces, and we're going to go deeper into those. So here's our integration goals. Again, high level. First thing, work order creation from Invenergy hub. We need to attach a standard work order template to an Invenergy hub alarm or case and have Invenergy hub display official work data natively within the app. So what we did, those of you that use standard work orders, and most of us do, what we did is we went to our control center and we looked over the last 24 months, what were the most common standard work orders that we use within EAM, and that helped us derive a list of standard work orders for use within the Invenergy hub. And it's mostly weather events and things like that, or something's not working quite right according to SCADA. We also wanted work order linking from Invenergy hub. So Invenergy hub receives a list of valid work orders for a given asset or equipment. It also links existing work order fields to existing alarm cases. Invenergy hub displays that critical work order data natively in the app. So what's all that mean? What all that means is even that we've spoken about events happening, alarms happening, and we create work within Invenergy hub that goes to EAM. But what we also wanted to do was have another method of communicating EAM data into Invenergy hub, which contains the customer-facing portal. So, for example, if we have scheduled PMs for this whole year, our customer could go in there and look at the PM schedules because they're work orders. And the work orders that are tied to specific assets that are contained in Basefield, all that work order data is going to be there. Current work, past work, and we're going to go more into the reporting piece. Also, we wanted work order field editing from Invenergy hub. Users can edit critical EAM fields directly from Invenergy hub, but the focus will be on status, letting our customers know what the status or disposition of that particular work order is. This is what it looks like, just real small. It's a snippet here, but essentially very common fields within the case itself. And again, Basefield, they call their work orders cases, right? And they're not necessarily work orders, but something happened, they create a case. Pretty straightforward. If you look at the bottom section, work order template and department that's going to receive these work orders. It's that simple. You get the events. It could be for one case, or it could be for 200 cases. You select the work order template that you want to use, assign it to a department, click on that create button, and you're done. You're done as far as the control room operator. All right, so you could move on within a minute or two. Those 200 work orders are going to exist in the EAM. They're also going to be already fed back to Invenergy hub for consumption by the operators, by the technicians, by our customers. And right here, you'll just see in red some of the fields that are populated that go over to EAM. Pretty straightforward. This kind of highlights some of the some of the things that are going out and coming in. So within Invenergy Hub, we're sending all this information over here. It gets routed via Dell Boomi. As Eric had mentioned, Dell Boomi is our integration tool of choice. It's our standard at Invenergy. What comes back to Invenergy Hub from EAM, we send back the status, the data creation, the work order ID or work order number, and a link to the work order homepage. And what that means is, just like when you hyperlink to a work order from one of your reports, we actually send that hyperlink back to them. So there's certain fields that you could see within Invenergy Hub, but if you want to see the full-blown work order itself, you click on that hyperlink that EAM has provided, and it will hyperlink you to that specific work order in EAM. You could go in there, modify it, add your labor hours, close your comments, add parts, any of that. Again, this really talks about the link itself and what's sent over. Okay, EAM data viewing in Invenergy Hub. Once the hub receives the EAM external ID, it shows up as a tab link on the drill down of the case, so you could simply hyperlink to it. The Invenergy Hub case status versus EAM worker status. Will Dell Boomi close a hub case when the work order has been closed in EAM? And the answer is yes. So whatever the status is in EAM, it's going to carry it over to Invenergy Hub. If you change the status in Invenergy Hub, it's going to do the same thing, feedback to EAM. Here's the key difference. Key difference is the status of close. We want to only close work orders from the EAM application, period. And why are we doing that? We're doing that because we want to make sure that people put in their labor hours, their closing comments, the parts they've consumed. And it's very important to us that we stick to that standard, so closures will only happen in EAM. We talked about the customer data access goals, or what our goals to be for our customers to access their data. So we want to have multiple options on how to view or consume data, provide our customers with a secure portal. We want to create canned and ad hoc reports using data found in the Invenergy Hub, and have the ability to schedule emailed reports, download data sets in multiple formats for consumption. Like I said, not everybody's the same. Some need CSV files, some need text files, some need Excel files, PDFs. And what we want to do is, when we build our customer-facing portal, we want to give them the ability to do a lot of stuff. We want them to be able to see canned reporting like this, all right? What happens? Some notes on the shutdowns. We also want them to be able to have access to their data and make it secured in such a way where they can access other customers' data. And if you know what you're looking at right here, you're looking at a Power BI, a representation of Power BI. And that's one of our considerations right now for this customer portal, because we don't want it to just be dumb data. We want it to be smart. We want to be able to give the customer the flexibility to slice and dice as they want, and go ahead and create those reports, save them, modify them as needed, and they go in there and they get their data when they need it. And they're not dependent on Brecklin or Eric or myself to get them this report that they needed yesterday. Yeah, and it's a very complex deal because, for example, we have all these GE wind turbines, so GE gives us special pricing. However, they're not going to give us special pricing on stuff that we're going to sell and mark up, right? So we gotta account for that. And then we have some parts that are part of startup, and those are already, they've been paid for, so we need to maintain a zero value on those. But what happens if we do sell that? What happens then? So there's a lot. A lot of the what are they called? Not the extensions. The what? The conditions that Eric developed. There was like how many? 19 of them, 15. And it accounts for all this stuff, so it's a very complex deal for us, and it's something we're trying to manage, and I think we're doing fairly well. However, there's always room for improvement on everything. And I don't know if there's any questions, but I know we're running short on time here, and I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank Tony, his team, a lot of you out here for a lot of the feedback that I got. And it's just really critical that we go to these events and that we share knowledge with each other, because tribal knowledge it's you can't get any better than that, right? And I just want to thank all of you for participating, for speaking up, and for joining the event. And again, Tony, great job to you and your team. Excellent job. We will be back next year. All right? Let's go!